So this is the door. You can see I've cleaned up as much of it as I can. So got all the glue off that was everywhere inside the door. The way the rubber fits, the window sill fits, so all around this stainless steel part of the door, it fits into this channel here. You can probably just about see that, I think. So it's kind of bent over and the seal fits into that. And then when it gets down to here, you have to glue it. So there's this kind of moulding or pressing into the door skin, which it's not really, the sides aren't even parallel. They're wider, so it's not going to grip the seal in any way, so you have to glue it. The same around the back and then around the bottom and up to here. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to fit the top piece first and then start gluing the seal around the lower part of the door. So it's going to be easier just for me to show you this handheld. So you can see I've made a start at this corner. This is really the only hard kind of data point, this 90-degree bend. The rest of the seal, in terms of where the transitions line up in the corners, you've got quite a lot of leeway. So started at this corner, and then if you see the seal is split, so it's a matter of basically feeding that into the channel without, I'm trying not to stretch it or compress it too much, and then using a plastic, just cheap plastic spatula, basically just pushing that down into the channel, and it does tend to go quite well. So if we just come around the outside, you can see that that's sitting quite nicely at the corner, the seal, and it's starting to sit quite nicely along there. Obviously there might be little pinches that work themselves out over time, but that really is the one hard data point in that corner, so that's where I've started with it. So I'm going to work down along there and then around to that point, and then we'll start gluing. So onward we go. Okay, so as we go, it's going in quite nicely. The reason I'm using a plastic spatula is just to try and avoid cutting into the seal. You could use a screwdriver, but obviously that might damage the seal, which I want to try and minimise. So this plastic spatula seems to work pretty well. So I'm just opening up the channel, and what you may be able to see is, as I push this back piece in, the whole seal is kind of rotating into that channel, which seems to work pretty nicely. Right, so I just placed the seal in position. It's fitted around there and down to that point, so it's clipped into all the stainless steel, and then I've just run it very roughly around the door to see. Basically, I wanted to make sure, because I'd trimmed one of the pieces, that I'd still got enough to get around the door, and there's plenty. So yeah, this piece here, I'd used the full amount. I didn't trim, but I trimmed these down slightly. So as you can see, this just really fits in this channel. So I'm going to run contact adhesive around to probably about there, and then I'll join this with cyanoacrylate. But there's the seal in the stainless steel. It's pretty straight. maybe a little bit of waviness, but if you look from outside the door, you can see it's about 2 millimeters above the stainless steel, so that will clear the rain channel, and should seal really nicely. So it looks, don't know how much of that you can see through the camera, but it looks very well fitted. It sits nicely in that channel, and yeah, it looks pretty good so far. Right, so slight change of plan. The contact adhesive didn't stick. It dried. It went touch dry, but then it wasn't tacky. So I don't know whether it's either old contact adhesive. It's been in the garage a couple of years. It might have been affected by frost or cold, or it's too cold now, or it's too damp at the moment. It is quite a damp day. So I've cleaned off what I'd done. Gone back to the start basically. I'm going to order some new contact adhesive just to make sure it's not that, and then put a heater on in here before I stick the door sill. So in the meantime, I've just made a door membrane. I can't find the originals. I think maybe the car didn't have any fitted when I bought the car, otherwise I'd have kept the old ones as templates. So I just clipped a piece of polythene to the door and drawn around it, and then cut it, and that seems to fit fine, so that's looking okay. So I'm going to carry on, make another one of these for the other side so that I don't have to go through this again, and then I'm going to start assembling this door, I think. So see you in a minute. So one of the things that occurred to me last night is that I have forgotten to fit on the front door that we've done these, which are rubber seals for the door handles. So these go on the outside between the handle and the door. They're not there currently on the car. There's nothing there. I don't think it's a particular problem, but I saw these and thought I'd buy them some time ago. So I need to get the door handle off and try and point with a spanner. The door handle, I've removed. There's a bar down there which is part of the locking mechanism, and then this is the inside of the door handle here. So there's two bolts. There's one a 5/16 bolt just above, and then there's another one for the other end of the handle just there, if you can see it. So I'm just removing those with a 5/16 spanner. Can't get a socket on because they're at an angle and none of the holes in the door line up with it. So I've got the door handle off, and if you can see, there are actually remnants of the old gaskets. They've lost the kind of bit that goes around, so I couldn't see them. But yeah, there were some things in there. But if you look, there you go. They're pretty had it. So these are the new ones that I bought. Seem really nicely made, actually. There's a smaller one that goes on there, so you see, you can see them around the edge of the handle. So I'm going to fit those. They look to be the same front to rear. I don't know if the handles are identical, but certainly the gaskets are the same front to rear. So I'm going to get that one out. The handle itself, so that's the opening mechanism. It's upside down, but that's the opening mechanism, and then the lock moves that, which disconnects the plunger from the outer handle. seems to work okay. The one on the other side was actually to been bodged and broken, but I fixed it, and this side seems to be fine. So quite heavy, chromed. I guess it's some sort of Mazak or whatever the metal is called that they use for these sorts of things. Chrome's not perfect, but it's good enough. There's a bit of damage on the end, so they're not perfect, but they work and quite easy to replace if needs be. So I'm just going to replace the gaskets and get this back on. So what I have just done is just taken the back of the door handle off just to clean it. Kind of seemed a shame not to while it was in pieces. And it reminded me actually that although I think the handle is the same on both front and rear, obviously they're handed left to right, the door lock mechanism is slightly different. So it actually says on this one offside right hand, offside OSRH, offside rear handle maybe. So it's just two screws that go, so hang on, let's show. So it goes back together that way, and as I say, that's locked, and then unlocked is off. So I'm just going to oil this. Again, it's in good condition, it's just very dirty. So I'm just going to put some fresh grease on it and put it back together. So there, it's back together, it's greased, and all works okay. What there is also actually is a little star washer on the bottom. So there's a bolt on the top and a bolt there. Then there's a star washer that goes inside the door. I'm probably not going to fit that. Just going to see how it goes, because they're just a pain and they'll rust. The one that was on there had basically disintegrated. So I'll see how it goes. It's not going to get a lot of use. So the gasket goes, have I got the right one? No, wrong one. There you go. So the gasket will go on like so. These are really nice. I'm not sure where I got these from. I've got an idea it was off eBay. They seem very nicely made. There's no flashing or kind of, bits left over from moulding. So that's the one, and then the other one just goes on like that, and they'll sit on the door. So I won't show you, this is going to be a bit fiddly because I need to get the two bolts in, and you're working through these two holes. The handle's kind of up there, so it's a bit of a pain. So I won't show you that, but I'll bring you back in a minute. Okay. That works. I'll just show you how that looks on the car, if you can see that. So those seals just really, I think, finish the door handle, make it look, you may not be able to see the front one. I forgot to fit the gasket to, so next time I take the door apart, I'll have to do that. But the rear one, I've done the other side as well. The rear one is good. So that is covered in grease, but that's something else done. Put the scary bit, got to put this circlip around that rod, and I really don't want to drop that into the bottom of the door. That would be a bad thing. They look actually similar to the choke clips, but I'm not sure if they are. I think they might be smaller. So right, I'm going to try and, if I can find pliers, try to get that back around that rod. It's like a pin. The rod has a hole in it that goes over the pin, and then the pin has a ridge around it. You get this this clip around. Oh, there you go. That's on. And this must have been fun in the factory. Okay, so that is. That's that done. So the door handle's done. So next thing is to, I think, put and remove that just to get to the. I've replaced the quarter light hinge seal. So I'm gonna just spray some oil inside at the top. I'm not going to do the bottom because that is going to need to be fixed at some point. But just to preserve some of the parts of the top of the door, and then get the membrane in and get the wood trim on, and then the door card. Right, see you in a minute. So I've put the membrane in the door, just the one I made. It's actually dished in, the door is dished in the middle, so it goes in quite a bit here. So as you can see, the plastic doesn't, if I pull it taut straight, it's going to stop the door card going in. So I've left some room there. It should be fine. Doesn't look as neat as it could, but can't see any other way of doing it to allow the door card to go in. So I've got that on. Just used double-sided tape all the way around and left a couple of gaps at the bottom again. Hopefully the tape will be easier to clean off than the glue that was there before. So next I'm going to fit the wooden trim door capping. So very similar to the front one. It's solid sapele, I think, with the end caps are made from kind of compressed wood chipboard type moulded piece, the same that end. They're then veneered. So same basic construction as the front ones. These then screw to the door to hold it against the door and in place, and there are these clips that go over there. Well, they're the other way, they're kind of that way. I actually fitted them the wrong way first time. So yeah, very similar to the front. So this just goes on, goes over the window. I also reattached the quarter light mechanism. There you go. That's it. So that's then held to the door with 6 screws, same as the front. So I will get on with that. You can see I also refitted the quarter light. It's a little bit tight. There you go. Really nice detail, very chrome plated, quite a complex little mechanism. Not like Rover to be unnecessarily complex. These screws are 6 by 3/8, I think, that I'm using. They were as close to the originals as I could get. They seem to fit perfectly in the holes. Once you can actually find the hole. Again, doing this on the production line, I mean, there's so much not just manual labour, but you know, shimming things and lining things up, and having to get into places that aren't very accessible to tighten things up. It must have been so labour intensive on the production line. I know obviously the design is from mid-50s, mid to late 50s. Just incredible amount of work involved. There's the trim in place. Quarter light opens and closes really nicely. Door lock works. Where's the... These just screw on to the lock rod. There you go. So that was one of the long ones. As I said before when we did the front, there's two lengths. I'd not noticed that before. Seems as though the long one is perfect for the rear, and the shorter one for the front. Again, this would have been fun on the production line. I know this is similar to how cars of the period were done, because I think it was the Beetle I had was very similar using these clips. There you go. Okay. God, I'm stuck. Okay, so we've got it back on. Because this is an original door trim, it is a little bit distorted in places, and the stitching has gone or going on the armrest. It's gone in places, but it's fine for now. Okay, so I think the window winder what looks best when the windows are down. Only got 4 choices. I had no idea what was original. I think down. So there's gone there. And again with the I don't think that would be good because maybe up. There you go. It does go down a heck of a way. Not like a modern car where the back windows only go down part of the way. There's the door lock. And the quarter light. And then the there's no adjustable door handle on the back, it's just this very large door armrest with a grab handle in it. I think this is what Harold Wilson had an extra large ashtray put in. I think Saloons had an ashtray in the door. He had an extra large ashtray for his pipe with a holder for his matches. On the coupe you've got the ashtray in the middle between the 2 individual rear seats. Okay, so that is it. Let's have a look. How does it look? Pretty good. So this is the channel that the rubber strip, the door seal, fits in on the around the door. Not sure how. Try and stay out the light. It goes in here, so you can see it's actually open on one side for part of the door, so you know it's not being held in by this at all. This really is just guiding it. So this needs to be glued in to there using contact adhesive. So I've put the heater on to try and warm things up a little bit. It's really cold still, but I've bought some new contact adhesive, so I'm going to just run some glue around the channel and then run some on the back of the seal, and hopefully that will work to hold it in place. looks. I think the combination of the Admiralty blue, the dark blue, with the cream trim and the wood is a really nice combination. It's a very classy looking combination. So certainly my favourite, and I know a few other people say it's their favourite. It's only got the seal fitted to the top at the moment. And then the front one is a comparison. So very slightly different colour. I don't know whether that comes up in there, maybe slightly. But unless you were looking, you wouldn't really notice actually. I figured out, well, I put a little bit of silicone on the seal because the front door was always, this one after I replaced the seal has always been a bit of a slam, but now it fits really nicely. So the rear will be like that when that's done. So this is the glue I'm using. Previously I've used Evo Stick, but I thought I'd give this a go. No particular reason. What I've noticed is it seems a lot thicker than Evo Stick, which on a vertical surface like the channel is actually quite good. It does make it harder to get out the tube, but it seems pretty good for a vertical surface. The other thing I'd say is that it's clear, which that one of the challenges if you ever used Evo Stick, if you do get any glue on anything and don't get it off immediately, it dries a very yellow colour. So this is clear, so we'll see how that goes. So I've done down the front of the door, down there, and along the bottom. I've stopped about there because I didn't want to do it all and then find out it didn't work very well. So I'm going to wait a minute or two. It says, the instructions say 2 minutes. To me that doesn't seem very long. Maybe I've put quite a thick gloop on there, but I'm going to give it a few more minutes I think and just keep checking it. I've got the heater on to try and warm it up a little bit, so we will see how we go. So just to finish off the story of the this rear door, I've glued the seal in with contact adhesive. I used Gorilla contact adhesive, as I think you've seen before. This stuff which is clear, which is nice. I don't actually think it's any much different to Evo Stick. I may go back to Evo Stick, I don't know. It's quite thick, this stuff, which is good on the verticals, but it does make just squeezing it out all the way around is quite hard work, and also where if you miss any bits, it is quite thick, whereas the Evo Stick evaporates to quite a thin layer. Anyway, so it seems to have worked all right though. So there's the main seal, and then there's this kind of fillet piece here which is just flat foam. On the actual proper seal, the original seal, it's all moulded in one, whereas it's separate piece on the replacement one, but it seems okay. It's also on the it's just a flat piece of foam on the replacement, whereas this is moulded. But as you can see there, the door's been shut for a few days and it's indented. So that's actually, that indentation there is actually made by the lip of the wheel arch here. So the first time you shut the door, it doesn't really shut very well at all, or very easily at all. But it's really quite deep. It's probably 10 millimeters deep in places, that indentation. So it's definitely sealing against that lip well. And then there's the inner seal as well. So it's like a double seal around this bit. So that seems okay. I may just super glue that to there, maybe. Otherwise it looks fine, I think. Not quite as neat as original, but certainly a lot better than these old ones. The only place I had problems was this area here, where the contact adhesive wasn't really strong enough to hold the seal in place. So I had to use super glue or cyanoacrylate at that point, just about that stretch there. It's also, because it's quite a sharp radius, the seal is slightly kind of kinked. Whether that will disappear with time or not, I don't know. So that's kind of the only bit that I'm not 100% happy with, but it's okay, you know, considering the rest of the car's not perfect. I think that's fine. So this door is now finished. I think the seal fits really nicely around the top, around the stainless steel. You know, it just sits really nicely, and that mitre is really neat, I think. So I'm very happy around there. Really everywhere apart from that, just one spot. So that's fine with me anyway. So this door's done. So I think that's it for this video. My plan next is actually, I was going to do the other side, turn the car around, but I think actually what I'm going to do is do the heaters. So I think I mentioned earlier in the video, the P5 has a front heater as a normal car. It also has a rear heater that sits under the rear seat. It's got its own heater matrix with two pipes coming from the engine with warm hot water, and it's got its own fan, and the controls are in the back. That's never worked in my car, the rear heater. I don't know if it's the matrix. Well, the fan doesn't work for a start, so the fan needs reconditioning. I mean, it sits under the rear seat, I'll show you in the next video, and so water can get into it and all sorts. So the fan motor needs rebuilding. I'm going to strip it down completely. I'm also, I think, going to replace the heater matrix and the pipes. I've got the pipes I bought some time ago again, that go from the engine block to the rear matrix. They run under the car, and if they split, then you lose all the coolant, and because it's under the car, you don't necessarily notice until the engine heats up. So I'm going to replace both of the pipes and the matrix, I think, because they're not crazily, you can get rebuilt matrices from Wadham's and they're not crazy expensive. I think 100 and something pounds, so I may as well do that while it's being done. Then I know it's all new, and should last another 50 years at least. So yeah, they do them on a return basis. So I'm going to take these ones out, drain the coolant, take the rear heater apart. I'm probably also going to do the front heater at the same time. There's always been a slightly damp smell from the heater when I put the fan on, so whether the matrix is leaking slightly, I haven't actually noticed any the coolant level going down, but it just smells damp, the front heater, which isn't great anyway, but obviously, you know, I want to find out why that is in case it's leaking. So I'm going to do both front and rear heater, so complete heater rebuild. I did the front fan last year or 2 years ago, rebuilt that. So the front fan, which is a separate unit, a Smith's unit, that's done. It's just the heater matrix, and then the rear fan and matrix and the pipes. So I'm going to do that next, I think, anyway. So I'll start that in the next video. Should be quite interesting. I haven't ever done a heater before, so we'll learn as we go. Yeah, that's my plan. Then I may then do the fuel pipes. So I want to replace the fuel pipes. Some of the fuel pipes are still original from 50 odd years ago, so I want to replace all of those. I've done the ones in the engine bay, but the ones under the car and the fuel reservoir tap, I want to, it's very stiff, so I think the cable needs replacing. Might do that at the same time because it's kind of in the same area. And then I'm going to turn the car around and do the other doors, which is just going to be a repeat of these. you.